My name is Janicza Bravo. I am a writer and a director. We are making a short film as part of Miu Miu's Women's Tales. So I'm number 23. This is a great number. And we've been shooting for the last couple of days. So the short is called House Comes with a Bird. And where it started was, obviously we're inside of a pandemic. So my first thought was how to make something contained or as contained as possible, wanting to center around one location. And so that was the first seed. And then the second seed was, who of my friends do I want to work with? You know, what actors do I know, do I have a relationship with or a rapport with that I haven't been able to work with that I'd like to work with? Who can I bring into the mix? And that's sort of the second seedling. And so it was the list of actors, one location, thought about a house. And this is going to probably sound goofy, but after the last shoot I had done, I'd had this idea that it would be incredibly therapeutic to have animals on set or to have animals be a part of the storytelling if possible. That there's something that happens, a kind of buoyant spirit that comes from being around animals. And so we found ourselves in a world that has not only a macaw, but also a tortoise and also a dog. When we talked about me being the next installment or me being the filmmaker for the next installment, it was around, it was the fall of last year, the fall of 2021. And I happened to be in New York or on my way to New York, and I'd been spending some time with Natasha Lyonne. And so Natasha was the first person, maybe the first of the set. Her and Kelsey were the two people. I'd met Kelsey a couple of years ago, mostly digitally. And so Kelsey, Natasha were right at the front of my mind. And then when it came to writing this part for this Nico character, I had just called Pedro and asked if he was going to be in LA, but without saying specifically why, what, and then knew he was going to be in LA. And then I was like, there's a part for you. Natasha's doing it. I hadn't even asked Natasha yet. I just said, Natasha's doing it. Kelsey's doing it. I just said people were doing it. I was very confident. And then all three of them said yes on the same day, based on the fact that I said the others were in it, but no one had actually confirmed. I feel very fortunate. I love making short films. If I could make a career of making short films, I would do it. I would make them often. I found them to be a really great place to explore and to play. I went to theater school, and so getting to work in the short film space is, for me, going back to theater school. I mean, I think it's so special, and I feel something that I'm most attracted to about it is the muscle that goes into doing the thing and not having to lead with it. And by that I mean, for myself, it's from the moment I knew that I had the power to hire the crew or to be a part of that conversation. I didn't know when I first started working. And I was so grateful to have people just say yes that I didn't know that I got to kind of like push it in a certain direction. And it's not to say that I am not still grateful, but now I'm very much a part of who is hired. And so for me, the behind the scenes is incredibly important. It's not only who's in front of the camera, but it's also the behind the scenes, right? Who are the hair and makeup? Who is your production designer? Who's behind the camera? Who's, you know, the list goes on. And so that thing that I started by saying, it's about actually putting the muscle into it, not leading with the cause, right? Like I feel sometimes there are these initiatives around hiring women or hiring people of color, but it feels sort of on the surface, or it's kind of like you put out the ad that you did it, or, you know, you put it in the press, but you don't actually do it. And so to me, like what's really sexy is when you do it, and if they take notice, that's great, right? Like that you don't have to kind of like hammer it over the head, because then it actually feels pretty genuine, or it feels earnest. It actually feels like that is a part of the initiative, or that is the ethos or the thesis of the work. I think something that sometimes happens inside of work that is under the umbrella of, say, fashion film, is that narrative can sometimes cannibalize the clothing, and or if it's about the clothing, then it ends up sometimes being a bit hollow and it doesn't have the room for the soul, right? I'm not saying that it is, I don't know how it's, you know, we're shooting it, right? So we'll see. I haven't edited yet, but I'd like to think that there is inside of this, there was a marriage of not only text, about beautiful clothing, and that what I wanted it to feel like was incredibly effortless, and also like the actors were wearing clothing that suited them as opposed to having clothing be on top of them, right?